April in Ireland by Nora from the Book of Irish Poetry, Part I. She hath a woven garland all of the sighing sedge, and all her flowers are snowdrops grown on the winter's edge. The golden looms of Tir na an Og wove all the winter through her gown of mist, and raindrops shot with a cloudy blue. Sunlight she holds in one hand, and rain she scatters after, and through the rainy twilight we hear her fitful laughter. She shakes down on her flowers the snows less white than they, then quickens with her kisses the folded knots o' May. She seeks the summer lover that never shall be hers, fain for gold leaves of autumn she passes by the firs. Though buried gold it hideth, she scorns her sedgy crown, and pressing blindly sunwards, she treads her snowdrops down. Her gifts are all a fardel of wayward smiles and fears, yet hope she also holdeth, this daughter of the years, a hope that blossoms faintly, set upon sorrow's edge. She hath a woven garland all of the sighing sedge. End of April in Ireland. Glorny's Weir by Winifred Letts from the Book of Irish Poetry, Part I. At night when the world was sleepy and still, I'd wake, maybe, in the depths o' the dark, and think of the river below the hill that flows so fast by the ruined old mill. Never a sound besides would I hear but the water rowing at Glorny's Weir. I'd think to myself how day would come soon, the water hens wake, and the wagtails stir, the kingfisher flash in the light of the noon from the willowy banks of Knockmaroon. But through the day you could scarcely hear the voice of the river at Glorny's Weir. I'd wake in the depth o' the dark, maybe, when the friendly voices of the day were still, but the river would lift its song for me down from the mountains off to the sea, and glad was I in the night to hear the roar of the waters at Glorny's Weir. End of Glorny's Weir. The 9 Green Glens by John Stevenson from the Book of Irish Poetry, Part I. Sorrow and strife be far away from these sweet vales and hills for aye. Oh, who would think of sword and death that feels the living sea's sweet breath blow through the 9 green glens to day? Who sees the blue smoke skyward curled from many a lowly glen hearthstone, each with a pleasure and a pain, a pathos and romance its own, each little household a world? Who that can hear the voice of morn, the whisper of the springing corn, who understands the babbling rills, the weird, wild music of the hills, and nameless voices heaven born? Sure am I that the Antrim glen holds mysteries beyond our ken, and that there moves, in wind and sea, and rock and stream, and weed and tree, a life not far from the life of men. Dear Mother Earth, I know within that leaf and I are next of kin. The rowan high by blood is near, the primrose is a sister dear. Brother of mine, the mountain whin, now on the ocean shore I stand, the sea worn cliff on either hand, and farther north no other land, only the long sea heave and roll between me and the Arctic pole. End of the 9 Green Glens. Lough, Bray, 1 by Rose Kavanagh from the Book of Irish Poetry, Part I. A little lonely moorland lake, its waters brown and cool and deep, the cliff, the hills behind it, make a picture for my heart to keep. For rock and heather, wave and strand, wore tints I never saw them wear. The June sunshine was o'er the land, before 'twas never half so fair. The amber ripples sang all day, and singing spilled their crowns of white upon the beach in thin pale spray that streaked the sober strand with light. The amber ripples sang their song when suddenly from far o'erhead A lark's pure voice mixed with the throng Of lovely things about us spread. Some flowers were there, so near the brink Their shadows in the way were thrown, While mosses, green and grey and pink, Grew thickly round each smooth dark stone. And over all the summer sky Shut out the town we left behind. 'Twas joy to stand in silence by One bright chain linking mind to mind. Oh, little lonely mountain spot, Your place within my heart will be, Apart from all life's busy lot, A true, sweet, solemn memory. End of Lough, Bray. 1. Lough, Bray. 2. By Standish O'Grady. From the Book of Irish Poetry, Part 1. Now memory, false, spendthrift memory, disloyal treasure keeper of the soul, This vision chain shall never wrong from thee, Nor wasteful years, effacing as they roll. O still, blue lake, high cradled in the hills! O sad waves, filled with little sobs and cries! White, glistening shingle, hiss of mounting rills, And granite hearted walls, blotting the skies, Shine, sob, gleam, gloom forever! Oh, in me Be what you are in nature, a recess to sadness dedicate The mystery within, afar, in the soul's wilderness. Still let my thoughts, leaving the worldly roar, Like pilgrims, wander on thy haunted shore. End of Lough, Bray. 2.